Welcome back to the Avenue, and thank you for joining us today. This is the channel where we just want money to make sense to you. We want money to make sense, and you can have a life that money works for you. Today is exciting because we're going to talk about if someone could give you just 5 pieces of advice, money advice, for the rest of your life, that's all you have to follow, would you follow them? That's what we're going to talk about today. The 5 best pieces of money advice that you will ever need in your life. Stay tuned.
She's a go-getter, alright. What a beautiful sight. Anything she sets her mind to, she stays on it day and night. She writes the checks, she signs the deeds. She plants the fruitful seeds and still finds the time to meet all her family needs.
The very first piece of advice I can give you, hands down, probably the most important one, is to live on less than you make. And when I'm saying this, living on less than you make, this sounds simple, but people do not follow this one piece of advice. If they would do this, this is the foundation of everything. You have to live on less than you are actually making. Some people say live below your means. I say live within my means, because living for me includes how much I'm giving, how much I'm saving, how much I'm making, how much I'm investing. That is my life. That's my lifestyle. It's all combined into one. It's not just how much I'm spending on food and the necessary things, and then that's below my means, and then there's the other half that's I'm doing something else with. But when we live within our means, either way we go, we create margin. And it doesn't matter if you're making $50,000 a year, if you're making $200,000 a year. It does not matter. You still need to live on less than what you're making, because that's when the margin is created. When you put out less of your household as far as financially, when you're taking in more and putting out less, paying less for bills, you have what's called margin. And you want that to be positive. Some people have a negative margin. They are spending more than they're making. But if you have this positive margin, you have money that you can either invest, you can save, you can spend, you can do all sorts of things with. But you have a margin right there. If an opportunity comes up, you can take advantage of that opportunity because you have a margin. Right now, when this is being taped, the stock market is up some days, the stock market is down some days. It's real crazy with the war going on and everything that's going on. So, but in order to take advantage of those great companies out there that we've been waiting for them to become a little less expensive as far as their stock is concerned, now is the time to delve in and do that. So the only way we can do that is we have to have extra money or margin of money set aside. Once we pay all our bills, all our obligations are taken care of, there is a certain amount of money, maybe $100, maybe $200, $1,000, whatever it is, but you can do something else with it that will help you grow your money into the future, right? You're not spending everything that you make on just consumer goods, going out there and just spending everything you make and ending up with zero at the end of the month. That's not what we want to do. We want margin. Margin makes a difference. When I was working my 9 to 5, in the margin that I had, I invested it in various things. So that's the one thing that we want. That's ground level one. Principle one is not to spend everything you have coming in, but live on less than you make. Remember that. Foundational. Principle number 2, we're rolling, you guys. Principle number 2 is to make sure you invest regularly. Regularly may mean every week. It may mean once a month. It may mean every time you get your paycheck, you're investing something. It could mean various things. When I was working my 9 to 5, like I said, I invested every time I got a paycheck. There was a certain amount of money coming out of my paycheck. And because it was automatically coming out, going into my 401k, I did not miss it because I was not living on that money. That money was a part of my lifestyle, but I was not living dependent on it to meet my bills and my monthly obligations. It was being invested every month. If I had some extra left over from meeting my obligations, I could buy stock on my own, but invest on a regular basis. Now, when the stock market is, if you have that margin in there, when the stock market comes down with these great companies that we're buying, you can actually buy more, right? But you don't discontinue your investing every month. Now, when you have enough in there and you want to take a look at it, because right now I look at the stock market. I don't necessarily invest if it's the stock is way up there at the top of where it's ever been. I may back off a little bit then, but it does not mean that I'm not saving to invest in the future, right? So I'm still taking that money out, but I'm saving it so when a dip comes, I can invest in that dip. But the baseline, once you have this margin from living within your means, then you have that margin. What do you do with that money? You invest that money. You save it a certain amount and then you invest that. You can save for your emergency fund. Once that's done, you can start investing the rest of that money because you want your money to work for you. That's the key, you guys. You want your money to work for you. And when your money is working for you, you're buying your freedom in the future. That's exactly where we want to be. So invest on a regular basis. Stop everything you're doing right now, hit that like button and that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on the latest information that I'm bringing to you. It's getting hot and heavy. We're living in times that we need to pay attention to our money, and that's exactly what we want to do. Pay attention to our money, do the right thing by our money so that we can grow our money and make money work for us. Okay, this next one is hard sometimes even for me, but to stay out of consumer debt. Do everything you can to stay out of consumer debt. What do? I pay my credit cards off every month. I do not pay interest, have not paid interest for years and years and years. Decades I have not paid interest, and I'm extremely proud of that. I don't pay interest to anybody except for mortgages. But consumer debt, credit cards, I don't pay interest. And I feel like I'm winning a little bit when I do that. So it makes me smile when I don't pay interest, but I'm buying what I need to buy, using the convenience of my credit card, getting the points, whether it's money, whether it's flying miles or whatever you get. Get all of that, get all you can, but don't give them interest. So pay the credit card down until you can pay it off. Then maintain control over how much you're spending, which you're not getting in consumer debt. Easy to get in consumer debt with Amazon, let me tell you. This past week, I had dental work done. I need to have a little bit more dental work done. It's going to go on the credit card, right? But if I see something on Amazon, that's going to go on the credit card. So it's time to do something to the lawn, buy some fertilizer. That's going to go on the credit card. So you can see how these things add up as far as consumer debt is concerned. I need to make sure I am keeping it within a certain amount of money that I'm going to pay out to pay that card off. And sometimes I look at it once a week. Sometimes I look at it twice a week. Depends on how much time I spend on Amazon. And now, if it's getting a little high, maybe I don't want to buy that one thing that I was getting off of Amazon on a regular basis, or put something on the back burner until next month. I can just hold off until next month. There's some things, you don't want to skip on, such as health concerns or supplements or something like that. But there are some other things, that household items that you may think that you need or you want, and you can hold off on those until it's a better month of the year. Believe it or not, and it works for me as well, probably for you, there are some months of the year that I spend more money in. When taxes are due, I spend more money in those months. I have to prepare for that. So I have to keep this consumer debt up under control. And if it's backing off of Amazon for a month or a week or two, that's what I need to do. There are some things, I have a list of things I can go out there and buy today, right? But this month may not be the month that I need to purchase that. I have dental work, like I said, haven't done, that's going to go on the credit card. That's health. That's not necessarily consumer debt. But because I don't pay interest, it's going to have to be paid off by the end of the month. So hear me clearly. Stay up under control. Keep this consumer debt up under control. You can buy some of the things you want, going out to eat and all this stuff. You can buy some of the things you want, but make sure you're able to pay it off by the end of the month. That's all I'm saying. Now, this is one that I would encourage everybody to do, is to use experts when it comes to your finances. If you get to a point where it's a little too hard to navigate or you don't understand everything about something, use experts to help you with that. If it's taking a class from someone or hiring an expert, I don't do my taxes, you guys. I don't know taxes, and I want to get the very best benefit. I want to use every tax rule that I can, every deductible that I can, and so I rely on a tax professional for that. Now, when he's finished, I understand everything that he's done for my taxes and to my taxes because I want to learn also, but I'm not going to do my taxes. I'm going to turn that over to him. You know, if I had in need of an accountant, I would turn the books over to them to do that. Certain things that I could do, but because it would take up too much of my time, I would turn that over to them. If you need a financial professional, I have people handling my financial money as far as my IRA, where the money is. And so my Empower group that's the people that I have handling that money. I turn it over to them. I get invited to meetings. I meet with my advisor and he can tell me everything. If I have a question, I can send him an email. All of this. They have special meetings to let us know where the industry is going, you know, what's happening. You know, when the war started, we had a meeting on that. And we had just various meetings on things that are happening in the market. They're taking care of that. I don't have to worry about that. I'm focused on my little account that I have with the investing that I'm doing outside of that. But they are growing my money and doing stuff with my money. So I do have a financial professional for that. If I needed a lawyer, I would go to a professional. So there are some things that with your finances, as a realtor, I'm a professional, right? So when it comes to selling real estate, buying real estate, knowing where the best deals are, I don't need to hire a professional. I am the professional in that, so I can help myself with that. But if there are things outside of my wheelhouse, things outside of what I can do, know that I can do, and I'm a professional at, I will hire someone else to do it. So don't be afraid of hiring a professional to help you with the financial game for things that you don't understand. Now, understand as much as you can, and even if you hire a professional, make sure they explain everything to you so you're aware exactly what they're doing. I never turn any of my money loose to someone and not know or not ask questions about it. So keep that in mind. But if you need a professional, hire that professional that you may need for your finances. And last but not least, you guys, we are at number 5. Number 5 is to make sure that you are paying down your debt. Even if it's good debt, such as rental properties or your house, something that you've purchased that's going to either be an asset or something that you know that's gaining in equity, pay those things down. Have a plan to pay them off. I know often we get into these mortgages for 30 years, 15 years, and if we can take a look at that, sometimes investing is investing in paying that down. Because once it gets paid off, you're done with that mortgage and you can get the title to whatever you had the mortgage on. Yes, you still have to pay insurances. Yes, you still have to pay taxes on it, but you have the bulk of it paid off. You don't owe on that home or whatever it is, that asset that you're purchasing. So even if it's good debt, we want to make sure we're focusing on paying it down so that we can eventually pay it off. Now, for my rental properties, my tenants are helping me to pay that down. But it's not to say that if I get some extra money, I may pay a little bit more on that. Or with the money that I have coming in with them, instead of using it all to invest in something else, I may pay a little bit more to pay that down. Because I just feel better when I'm not in a huge amount of debt. So make sure we're focusing also on paying these other bills off, these other obligations that we have. Pay them down until we can pay them off. Don't just totally ignore them. Even if the interest rate is very, very low, you still want to chip at paying that down as much as you possibly can. Because ownership, you guys, ownership is king, right? Because once you own it, it's going to be up to you to, if you want to offer it up to sell, it's going to be at your price. And if they don't want to meet your price, you don't necessarily have to sell it, right? So make sure we're paying this down as well as, the consumer debt. Once you get that all paid off, start working on your house and paying that down at that point. But that is tip number 5, principle number 5. These are the 5 main principles. If you follow these, you really don't need to know very much more about finances, because this will get you in line, keep you on the right path to where you want to go, to the finish line, so that you can have your freedom. If you want to be totally out of debt by the time you retire, great thing to do. have your house paid off and everything, follow these and you can get there quicker than what you think. If you don't follow these all five of them, if you don't follow them, you may fall short in one or two of the areas. But this is great advice, and this is all the advice you really need. To be quite honest, this is the advice that you need. Only 5 things that if you could get no other financial advice for the rest of your life, follow these and you will be just fine. And with that, I will see you in the next video.
Go Adrienne. Humble, go get a bless. Let's go.